Welcome to FINA Aquatics World. In this month's program, we'll check out the start of the FINA 10-kilometer Marathon Swimming World Cup. Over the course of the show, we sit down with Hungary's top swimmer, Laszlo Che. And we follow the British Gas Championships in diving from Plymouth. British diving is hotter than ever, partly because of the London Olympics last summer, but even more in thanks to a certain Tom Daley, who has had tremendous success in the last few years. The 2013 edition of the British Gas Diving Championships, staged at the Plymouth Life Centre, featured not only homeboy Tom Daley, but a host of talented divers on site to fight for the medals. Before we get to the men's 10-meter platform, we start off with the men's 3-meter synchro. The final was a battle between Yona Knight-Wisdom and Matthew Roberts from Leeds, and Sheffield's Freddie Woodward and Ashley Hendrick from Plymouth. The City of Leeds pairing were competing as guests as Knight-Wisdom was entered under the Jamaican national flag rather than his domestic club. Woodward and Hendrick took the lead after the opening rounds thanks to this effort. 48.60 the points for Woodward and Hendrick. In the next round, Knight-Wisdom and Roberts took over the lead, and they extended that even further in the third round. A nice dive awarded with 69.30 points, and the duo kept their grip on the final throughout the remainder of the competition. In the last round, they sealed the deal with another top display. Knight-Wisdom and Roberts producing the top dive of the final, bringing 78.12 points and gold medals for the pairing. Yona Knight-Wisdom was all smiles after the competition.
It was quite fun, because we were meant to be the only ones in it, but then obviously the other pair ended in late. But it was a good laugh, good fun. I really enjoyed it. Really happy, really happy. We've actually been working fairly hard on this because we like doing synchro, and it's good to train. So I'm happy that we managed to perform well.
Despite being one of Britain's most talented divers in recent years, Yona Knight recently started to compete for Jamaica.
I got my Jamaican passport through my father because he's Jamaican, and I started competing for them last year. And I'm actually the first male Jamaican diver. There was a female diver back in 1966, I think it was. So I'm really proud to be one of the first, and hopefully I can become the first ever to go to an Olympic Games.
What's the reaction been like back in Jamaica to you taking up the sport?
Oh, apparently it's really nice. I haven't seen it firsthand, but the president of the Swimming Association has told me that they're really accepting of me. They really want me to do well, and they want me to get to the Olympic Games.
Yona's Olympic dream is looking more and more likely to be fulfilled come 2016.
Well, when I started in 2004, it was like the year of the Olympic Games, and I seen Pete and Leon win their silver medal. And ever since I seen that, I always thought I wanted to be part of an Olympic Games. So that's what's driven me on, and that's also why I've wanted to dive for Jamaica as well, so it helps my chances, because obviously Great Britain's really competitive in here. So I want to improve my chances now. I really want to get to the Olympics, and that's been my inspiration for the nearly 9 years that I've been diving.
Back to the action again, and it's time for the women's 3-meter springboard final, where 8 athletes fought a hard fight for the medals. Alicia Blagg and Rebecca Gallantry, both representing the City of Leeds Diving Club, and a duo who can boast a 3-meter synchro silver together at the FINA Grand Prix level, topped the qualification round. Gallantry, with 4 consecutive British titles on the 3-meter springboard in her book of merits, started well in the opening round. 72 points the score for Gallantry. Next up, the mere 16-year-old Alicia Blagg. The Leeds duo continued to impress in the second round, but in the third they both ran into problems, failing to nail their dives. Instead, another 16-year-old Grace Reed from Edinburgh stepped up and joined the fight for the gold. A beautiful reverse 2.5 somersaults, which gave 71.4 points for Reed, who all of a sudden overtook the lead in the competition. Going into the 5th and final round, all 3 divers were in with a chance of victory. First out, Grace Reed, who held a slender lead ahead of the final dive. $56.7 points for Reed, making her total score 296.55. A good result, but not impossible to beat. Next up, Alicia Blagg, who was after her 3rd title of the meet following her victories in the 1-meter springboard and the 3-meter synchro title. But she was trailing by more than 7 points and needed something special. A magnificent dive from Blagg, giving her 63.45 points, putting her just 0.55 points behind Reed in the overall rankings. So the last threat for Reed was Rebecca Gallantree with less than 3 points to make up in the final round. Only 57 points for Gallantree, who thereby had to settle with a bronze medal here in Plymouth, as the gold went to Grace Reed, her first individual gold medal at the senior level.
Yeah, this morning I was a bit, I wasn't quite on form, but I guess that was obviously a good thing. And I upped my game this afternoon, which is what I'd hoped to do, and got close to a personal best, so the results took care of themselves.
Alicia Blagg and Rebecca Gallantree had both, of course, hoped to get the gold, but weren't too disappointed with their medal performances.
I feel like I've got a lot more confidence for my individual results from the 1 metre. I was really chuffed with myself. Personal best in the British record, I was over the moon with that. And today, I mean, I broke 300, which was good in the prelim, and obviously the final, it could have gone a lot better, but you know, it's chucking in the new dive, taking the risk, and I'm really happy with the result. Second is good.
I was really pleased with this morning, but I knew I could still do better. And my first 2 dives this afternoon were really good. Just unfortunately dropped a bit on the 3rd one. And yeah, just one of those days. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the younger divers, the juniors, Alicia and Grace coming through really strong. They're looking really good at the moment and improving every time I see them pretty much. And we also had Hannah missing from the competition, who's another very strong younger competitor.
We'll return later in the show with the highlight of the championships, the men's 10-meter platform final with Tom Daly. But first, we meet up with another top aquatic star.
Despite being a small landlocked country in Eastern Europe, Hungary is known for being one of the major swimming nations in the world. The rivers Duna and Tisza and Lake Balaton make swimming possible, and today it is the high number of world-class pools and training facilities that help in keeping water sports and swimming in particular popular. One young Hungarian who discovered the joy of swimming at an early age is 5-time Olympic medalist and 27-time European champion Laszlo Scher, one of the country's biggest sporting stars.
Yeah, I started early when I was four years age, and I always loved the water and love to go to swimming and learn to swim. I hope so very fast. So that was my life, and the water is part of my life. I like every form of in water. So when I started swimming, it wasn't asking to do you want to get to the pool. It was naturally to get in the water and feel myself very good there.
Scher was diagnosed with acute allergy-induced asthma at the age of 10, a condition which often had him waking up coughing in the middle of the night. He suppresses the asthma with medication and exercise, and at the age of 14 he joined the national team for a training camp, emulating the incredibly strenuous training regimes of the last great generation of Hungarian Olympic swimmers. Now a veteran Olympian himself, Scher competed in 6 events in London and brought home bronze from the 200-meter individual medley.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed because the 400 medley and the 200 butterfly, and I feel in London I was a better shape than I show it. So maybe next time I try to get everything on the pool and show I am better than that. And I hope so. I'm get a little bit more lucky next time.
Scher's Olympic career has not been easy. He broke his foot 6 weeks before the Games in Athens and finished with a bronze in the 400-meter medley, watching Michael Phelps bring home 6 gold medals. 4 years later in Beijing, the duo battled it out again. Hungarians were glued to their television sets watching Cher set the European record in all three of his events. But it wasn't enough. Phelps was at the top of his game and won each race by setting a new world record.
A race against Michael is always a challenge and a big difference, like swim with others, because you know Michael is one of the greatest, or maybe he is the greatest swimmer of all time, and a race against him it is hard, and you know they don't have a bad day, except in the first day in London in the 400 medley. I realized that he was in a not so good shape, and that was my problem, and that was why I get out of the final. But that's not the matter. But a race against him is a good point for me, and I always like to beat him, get a better time than him, and it's not possible now. And Michael gets retired, but hopefully I can improve myself and maybe get closer to his times.
With the times of the most decorated Olympians still hanging over him, Cher's now looking towards Rio in 2016.
In the long future, yeah. After London, my race in London was a not so good race. I make a big mistake in the 400 medley heat, so I am not getting the final, and that was a terrible feelings for me. And after that, I feel I would like to show I'm get to better than this, and I think my feelings is I can continue in the Rio Olympics. So my future is to get in Rio, and we will see.
The 2013 edition of the FINA 10-kilometre Marathon Swimming World Cup is underway. The first stop on the circuit was, as usual, the city of Santos in Brazil at the Aparecida Beach. 49 men and 36 women from 13 countries took to the water. In the women's field, the American Emily Bruneman had a different strategy than the rest of the swimmers and could secure the victory in the last lap. Her compatriot, Eva Fabian, finished second, while Italy's Rachele Bruni took third. Frenchman Romain Barrault was the surprising winner of the men's race. Thanks to a powerful finish, he claimed victory in the final metres of the race. Two Italians completed the podium, Federico Vanelli in second and Simone Ruffini in third. For the second stop on the calendar was Viedma in Argentina, featuring 4 laps of a 2.5-kilometre course. Emily Bruneman was once again victorious on the women's side, claiming her second straight title, this time 30 seconds ahead of Brazil's Ana Marcela Cunha and Nadine Reichert of Germany. On the men's side, Frenchman Romain Barrault also managed to repeat his victory from Santos, reaching the finish line 2 seconds ahead of Italy's Federica Vanelli, and with Matteo Furlan, also from Italy, a further 2 seconds behind the duo in third.
Coming up after the break, we follow Tom Daley at the British Gas Diving Championships. We cover the World Water Polo Youth Championships. And we meet up with French swimming ace Camille Muffat. Welcome back. In part 2 of FINA Aquatics World, we meet up with Olympic champion Camille Muffat. The World Water Polo Youth Championships is in focus. But first, we return to Plymouth for the British Gas Diving Championships. We are back in Plymouth and the British Gas Diving Championships. The men's 10-meter platform was next on the schedule, and this was what everyone had come to see, as Britain's diving golden boy Tom Daley was present among the 5 finalists. As expected, Daley took the lead already in the opening round. 75.60 points for Daley, who didn't get a perfect start to the competition. Daniel Goodfellow wasn't far behind, as his opening effort gained 73.60 points. Another competitor who showed good form in Plymouth was James Denny, who scored 79.20 for this dive. Denny managed to secure the silver ahead of Goodfellow, but there simply wasn't any fight for the gold, as local hero Tom Daley was in a league of his own. After a slightly hesitant start, he showed some magic moves during the final. The total score for Daley, an impressive 501 points, despite having his preparations disturbed by a chest infection.
Yeah, well, it's kind of affected my preparation because I haven't had the energy. I had to have a couple of days off at the beginning of the week, my antibiotics and all that kind of stuff to try and get rid of it, but it kind of doesn't seem to want to go away. So hopefully after this competition I'll have a few days rest and hopefully get back to fitness. Well, this is my first competition since the Junior World Championships in Adelaide, and I'm over the moon to have done 2 performances over 500. Considering the way I've been feeling, I've got a throat and chest infection, so it's been tough to actually get back up on the board and kind of have the energy to do it, but I'm really happy that it's come out the way it has.
The fact that the championships was staged in Plymouth made it an even more special experience for Daley.
It's been amazing having the British Championships in my home pool because like the crowd's great, all my friends and family were able to come, so yeah, it was really good fun. My mum loves it. She likes to come and watch the competitions wherever they are in the country. So, and it's pretty nice and easy for her to have one in Plymouth and be able to bring her friends and my family, her family, and some of my friends too.
With Tom Daley's gold medal performance, we leave Plymouth and the British Gas Diving Championships. Now we sit down with a French Olympic champion.
French swimming had a successful Olympic Games in London last year, and one of their gold-winning athletes was Camille Mouffard. 23-year-old Mouffard claimed her first international gold medal back in 2007 when she won the 200-metre individual medley at the European Championships. By 2010, she had started to specialise in freestyle events and won the 200-metre event at the Short Course World Championships. The following year, she hoped to continue her success at the World Championships in Shanghai, but didn't quite make it all the way, having to settle for 2 bronze medals. But maybe that was something that aided her in London.
After Shanghai, I won 2 bronze medals. I was a little bit disappointed, so I knew that I could win a race, 200 or 400. So the last year I trained harder and better to win a gold medal in the Olympics. That was a dream, so I swam more. I swam Sundays too, no holidays, so it was tough, but...
Previous experience from the Olympics in Beijing in 2008 is also something she feels helped her when she competed in London.
Olympic Games are very different than another event. I think I had to leave Olympics the first time. I was younger, to see everything, the pool and everything else. Everything is very huge, and I had to leave that. And after I had 4 years to improve, to be more mature, to choose freestyle because I was an IM swimmer, and the past year was my best year.
Following the Olympics, Mufar took a few weeks rest and then participated in some competitions during the fall. But there was definitely a case of post-Olympic blues for the young world record holder.
After the gold medal and the silver and the bronze in London, I didn't know what I wanted to do after in September, but when we go back in the water, I was still like in London, in the same way, the same motivation, the same goals. Now I have the medal I wanted. The dream came true, but I still don't have a European title, a world title, and I think it's harder to be the best after just one time, to be the best for 2, 3, 4 years. So it's a new challenge.
There are no shortage of targets for Mufar to aim for, and she will hopefully continue to dazzle the crowd for many years to come. One obvious goal is, of course, to be able to defend her Olympic title in Rio.
It's hard to think on the long term. 4 years, it's very long. I think about Barcelona, but not yet Rio. I think I'm gonna be still there. I don't know. I think for this year now.
Perth, Australia was the setting for the FINA World Youth Water Polo Championships for athletes aged 18 and under. Let's get straight into the action with the women's bronze medal match, where Russia took on the USA here at the Challenge Stadium in Perth. The pace of the match was high from the very beginning. The tournament's leading point scorer, Kerimova, was the first to break through the American defense and score for Russia. Bar of the USA positioned herself well before the net and managed to equalize and then power in another goal at the center forward. The Americans kept the Russian attack at bay with some strong defense. This allowed Bar and Stephanie Mutafuyan to score and equalize the goals made by Alina Tuchina and Nadezhda Yarandaikina, 4-4 at quarter time. In the second quarter, the Americans' defense relented. Kerimova and Natalie Perfilieva both found the back of the net, but the Americans continued to work the 2 meters with Bergson, Fisher, Laughlin, and Barr all scoring. A strong quarter for the Americans. The third quarter barely started before Russia managed to equalize to 8-8. Surely motivated by their successful second quarter, the Americans continued their relentless attack and hammered in a 2-goal advantage through a third center forward strike to Barr and a first to Williams. Bergson extended the lead even further with a conversion from within 5 meters. The Americans in a comfortable lead of 8-11 as we move into the fourth and final quarter. A ferocious swimming pace was set at the beginning, and it did not take long before Russia started closing the gap. The Americans continued their tactic of quick breaks and a powerful 2-meter offense. It must have been the wrong choice for taking on the Russians, though, as Perfilieva managed to pass the ball to Ryzhkova, who scored this goal for 13-12 with only 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. 13-12 was the final result as time ran out for the Americans, leaving the Russians to celebrate their victory. In front of an audience of 1,100 visitors, the young Greeks took on the Hungarian ladies in the gold medal match. In the first quarter, 15-year-old Eleftheria Plevritou opened strong with this beautiful shot. The Greeks then continued to keep the Hungarians at bay by use of good defense and, of course, the tournament's best goalkeeper, Chrysula Diamantopoulou, who successfully defended all shots coming in the first quarter. Center forward Alkistis Benikou finished with a goal just 3 seconds before the buzzer. Three minutes into the second quarter, Plevritou repeated her performance and smashed in 3-0. The Greek Charalampiri sisters treated the crowd to some great action as well. With Ioana on the deep left and her sister Stefania on the right, they kept the Hungarian defense on its toes. Here we see Stefania's thundering goal for 6-2. After the break, the Greek girls continued to put pressure on the Hungarians. Ekaterini Zantu started the quarter by firing off this fantastic lob that finds the back of the net. The Greek domination continued throughout the period, with Stefania Charalampiri finishing off with this 8-3 goal, 6 seconds from the final break. Despite the Hungarian girls managing to score the last 2 goals of the match, the Greek team managed to take a very well-deserved win with a final score of 9-5. On the men's side, the gold went to Italy, who won a tight battle against Hungary in the final. Italy managed to go from 4-3 down to take a narrow win, 10-8. The bronze medal match that saw Croatia pitted against Serbia was equally intense. Croatia took the early lead, but Serbia came back, and in a very crowd-pleasing match, Serbia won with 8-7. With that, it's time to say goodbye to Australia and the Challenge Stadium. That's it for this episode. We'll be back in a month's time with more aquatics action. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye for now.